Okay, good morning again. It's the 24th of June and onwards and upwards we go. We're going into the last week of the month, by the way. And I haven't looked at all the month-end details in great detail, but they are on the phone, and we will I will make sure that between us, Andre, that the final details are put up quite soon. So on page 14, we're going to quickly review what we did last week. We looked at the whole thing of these scripts that are in our Getting Started book. And they brought it down to the basic essence of what we have to do. So if you have a look at page 14, 4-step formula: connect, discover need, invite, follow up. And that, I think, is something we almost need to get stuck into our heads, that we just sort of learn it as a formula, which it is. Now, under connect, number one, we've got the two types of markets. So last week, we were looking at tips on how to talk to the warm market. A warm obviously means people who we know or are fairly comfortable with that. And there are conversation starters for that on pages 15 and 16. And so we went through quite a few there and looking at them and role playing them, which was really useful, because you are in that position of having to think, actually, if this were real, this is what I would be doing. For the warm market on page 15, there are these 3 steps. You pick someone from your hot list. You decide if you want to lead with product or business. Got 2 options all the time. And start the conversation via text, so on WhatsApp. Or you can do a live phone call or an SMS. And then there's the social media message or in person. Don't overthink it. I don't know if you like me, but I do. I overthink things, and then I get that bubble of anxiety building in my chest. Don't overthink it. Just be genuine and straightforward. So if I can just quickly repeat for you the 4-step formula: connect, discover need, invite, follow up. So I've spoken about connect, and for today we're doing the cold market. So it's to introduce yourself and ask questions about FOR. They really are making it easy for us with all these abbreviations and acronyms. 4 stands for family, occupation, recreation, or give a sincere compliment. Really, it's a habit to get into, to be able to give people compliments. Then discovering the need, you ask the questions with the goal of genuinely getting to know them. Health and financial needs will come up naturally in the conversation. If you're listening for it, you will hear it with every single person we connect with. It's there all the time. So a simple and effective approach to discovering needs is to ask, guess what? What are they? Don't forget to go deeper if there's time and ask questions like, tell me more, or what do you mean by that? Or have you ever tried a natural solution? Andre, you've mastered those questions. You do it very well. I've heard you doing it. So become conscious of your own words and what you're trying to achieve in your discovering of the need. Then the invite, ask them. Now here we go again with those fantastic words. If I knew a solution, would you try it, watch it, attend, and let me know what you liked best? So if I, would you? Get that in your head? If I, would you? Be sure to send or give them the sample, a video, or event invite, and we'll go back to that in a moment, and then follow up. Right, so following up. And please highlight for yourselves in the book, and I know I'm in teacher mode now, but it is a useful thing to go and highlight things. The kids love doing it in the school environment, to the point where they spend more time decorating these days than studying, I've decided, with all the lovely colorful pens you can get out there. But from our point of view, the pro tip, if you share a resource or video with the Team Neolife app, you'll see when they click the link to view the video or image you sent. And that has happened to me a couple of times. Most times people sometimes don't look at it. All right, are there any questions at this point before we go into the cold marketing on page 16? So let's define, yes, Andre?
A question. It's just a comment. You know, as you know, I was away, and I did two things while I was away. In this, I met a friend there, and she took me out to coffee. And waitress was really, really sweet and friendly and engaging, and we could tease her and so on and so on. So I commented on those things, and I said, you know, that she's got such a wonderful personality. She blah blah, you know, complimented her. And then I said to her, you know, I gave her my card, and I said, if you're interested in learning about something that where you might be able to capitalize on these characteristics, get back to me. So she didn't know who I was. I gave her my card, and blow me down if she didn't get back to me. And we still haven't done the exchanging the information, because then I was coming back here and so on and so forth. But she's been back at me and really does want to know. So I don't know where it'll go, but it was the paying of the compliment. I think she was just so chuffed that someone had noticed it. And it was genuine. I mean, she was just very friendly. The other one was the neighbor person. I don't quite know how we started talking to each other, but then I asked her her name, and then it turned out she shared a name with a person who was at school with me, and I asked whether they were related. Cut a long story short, I've got that person's name and contact details, the school contact, and I've got this other woman's contact, and she lives in Greytown. And so I'm going to go back to her and say, you know, we didn't really have a chance to get to know each other, but etc. etc. So there were two situations where there were people I didn't know from Adam that I have now been able to open up the door of the conversation. And the point there, is I don't easily do that, but I'm practicing, and it's getting easier, and it's actually turning out to be quite fun. Don't dive in immediately and say, oh, I'd love to do business in Greytown, I think you'd be great, etc. When you don't know anything about the person, you just build the relationship to the point where it seems reasonable to continue the conversation, direct the conversation.
So Andre, that's fabulous. So I think what I would like to suggest before we go into these scripts now is for each one of us who is here this morning, myself included, to think about a connection that we have made with somebody we do not know. So it could be the waitress. For me, it's the woman behind the counter in the tuck shop at the school. Rob, you've met that mother of the girl who's coming to stay this week. In our situation here, we have a lot of people who are strangers that we meet, and we are not utilizing these skills as much as we could. So if each one of us here today, this morning, can think of it one person who you could be able to follow up with the cold market script. So shall we start? So reaching out to people you don't know is what we call cold marketing. And because I went through those 4 steps in a little bit of detail to remind us all on page 14. So I'm now on page 16. So I think I'll just share this quickly so we can all look at it. There we go. There it is. Yeah, so this is the book. It's the blue one. Okay, and I'm skipping through to page that's 22, so that's too far. So Andre, can you see we've got quite a few weeks of work we can do with this book, because there's still so much to do in the next few weeks as we follow on with developing these skills. Right, so
Can I interrupt you there, please?
Yes, Andre.
Just scroll down slightly on that page, the Cold Market Scripts page. Scroll back. No, the other way. Sorry, the other way. Stop. No, stop. Go page 16, but a bit higher up on the page. There,
This
stop
is page,
there.
yeah.
No, 16. There, stop.
Yeah.
Just above where it says Cold Market Prospecting. Find a Facebook group like The Ultimate Business. Now, I've never heard of that, actually, and I looked for it, and I'm not sure what they are referring to at all. But what I did find, a Facebook page, Real Life Business Builder Southern Africa, which I didn't know about. And on that, in that, Drew posts interesting stuff about the business and his op meetings and so on. So I'll try and find out what that that thing is. Can't read it here. And I will then write on our messaging the Near Life Business Builder, the name of that Facebook page. Go and have a look. It is something that we might be able to refer people to. That is meaningful for our market. Okay, that's.
So thank you, Andre. So there are 2 things that from what you've just said that I'm just going to draw attention to. So the one is we're going to see over and over again in this cold market prospecting social media. And I'm talking to me, and I'm very, very weak on it. So I think the challenge to all of us is to build our social media skills and become more and more conscious of these particular spaces and places which we can refer people to and to use more. It's whether we like it or not, we have to move into this space. And I think we're doing it. I think we should be proud of ourselves, actually. So yeah, so I ask you to please keep this book next to your bed, as I said last week, and keep looking at some of these examples that they give. So shall we start with 2 people this morning? Should we, Meryl, you did for us last week. Would you like to do it for us again? Or maybe Tina, would you like to give it a try? And you can use the script that is on the screen, or if you've got the book there, use it. But let's just look at the first one. It's connecting with social media, the ATM business. First of all, send a private message. So let's just try and put this in a context now, okay? It could be the person, so we're talking cold, okay? So you could be using WhatsApp. That could be an obvious first one. So let's just think of it as WhatsApp. You've met the person somewhere, like Andre spoke about the waitress. You've given a card or given your name or given a virtual card, by the way. That's one of the things we need to get more and more into, is using our phones to get the number and then send the person your replicating website as an example. But maybe not on the first time. Maybe I'm undoing the instructions. But you've got the phone number and the name. And so this would be looking at connecting particularly on social media. So I think I'll just read it out to you, and then we'll follow through, because these ones are more of backwards and forwardsing on the phone, for example. Hey, let's call her Sonia. I know we don't know each other, but I came across your page and noticed that you're from, let's say for me here in Johannesburg, might be interested in expanding into Witbank, which is now called Ekurhuleni. No, it's not called Ekurhuleni. What's it called, Rob? It's called something. That's it. You know, Meryl. eMaghleni. Well done. I'm expanding my business in eMaghleni and curious if you'd be open to taking a look at what I'm doing if it doesn't interfere with what you currently do. If you are, great. If not, no big deal. So this is not even using your voice as a spoken message. It's a written message. However, if you were doing it on WhatsApp, you could record them a message, or you could phone them directly. If yes, if I invite you to a private Facebook group to share some information with you, would you be open to taking a look? Okay, so my next big question, Andre, I know you have. Do we all have private Facebook groups?
No.
Give us some more information on what a private Facebook group is, please, Andre.
I don't in fact have one. It's sort of is where you basically create your own group, and then you can invite people to that. I'm still, I haven't got to that point, so I can't really tell you more than that.
Okay.
But it's people who already, my understanding is that it's people who have already expressed an interest in what you do, who joins that group, and then that group is much more focused on what you are saying. Social media is meant to be social. You know, they're not, people aren't going there to look for businesses particularly. But if they are, and you've got a group and they have found you, you found them, and they're interested in health and wellness and maybe a business and all those sorts of things, then they come into the private group, and that's where that more meaty conversation happens. The other part is more social, trying to find a common interest, getting to the point where you can invite them to the group. So yeah, sorry.
Okay, so no, so that's fine. So we need to define for ourselves then that on Facebook you've got your page and you've got your group. So so and a group can be limited. You can control it yourself, as far as I know. You can vet and allow people in, or you can have it open and other people can have a look at it, and then they can apply by asking if they could join. So it took me a bit of while, and I haven't thought about it for much recently. But I know I belong to quite a lot of groups. So, for example, I know that there are a lot of people who are doing business or all businesses on these suburb groups, selling and buying. And then marketplace would be a place where there will be various groups where people are putting up toasters and chairs and anything else they want to sell. So we begin to understand in my head how Facebook is becoming very, very much the go-to place for people who want to buy stuff. Right, so now we come to so please, all of us, let's commit to working and building our confidence and our knowledge of this social media world out there. Because it seems to me if we're not there at the moment, we limit our whole group. So we have to be able to find ways to source access in a manner that is full of integrity and honesty and doesn't get caught into any of the wacky woo stuff that's going on. There's space for everybody, and if we know how to handle it, then we can overcome our fears. Because I think that's one of the things that has blocked me a lot with the social media. Then in brackets at the top of page 17, now we work out what ATM stands for. Add, tag, message. So we come now into the space of understanding the social media terminology. So if, yes, you add them to a Facebook page like, and then Andre's going to put up that one that Drew has got. And there are various neo-life ones out there.
Sorry, Monica.
And
that ultimate business could also be Andre's group. So anybody could have their own group. So it's about getting people to join your group. That's what the ultimate business is.
See, I really appreciate trying to work this stuff out. Okay, they've just put a generic name there. So you need to get your own group up and running. All right. But if you don't want to do it yourself, then ask. So Meryl, I'm not saying that you don't want to, but if you would want to ask Andre, can I share your group or send people to your group at this moment? That would be a way to do it. Then tag them in a post or video you want them to see. Please, Andre, explain what tagging means.
Monica. I'll explain it to you.
Andre, I perceive you as being far superior to me on all this stuff.
I may be, but I don't know everything. And I've been told that. I've been told that, and I'm just, it's not easy for me because I'm not a peacock. So, I can find out and I can let you know, but I can't answer that question. Are you embarrassed?
Okay, so I'm embarrassed too. So I'm sorry, everybody. The preparation this morning was not as good as it should have been. But okay, but this is good because we need to understand these terms. So I think tagging is some way that you send them as things specifically.
That is exactly right.
Yes.
How you do it.
We will find out. So we need an expert to do a training for us on all this stuff. And then the M is message them privately to explain what you did. Okay, so I think the private bit is very, very important there. So just invited you to Facebook group, tagged you in 2 short videos. If you join the group, you'll see them. How soon do you think you can watch those 2 short videos? And they'll give you a day, and then you respond with, tell you what, I'm pretty busy that day, but I should be able to squeeze in a call or a time. Will you have watched the video by that time? And as I'm reading this to you, I am thinking in my head, I would have this book open next to me, and I would actually type the words that are in here. I would use these words. There's a safety in that, and it is actually reinforcing in my own mind the communication that I'm having with them. Does anybody have a comment on that?
Can I add something?
Yes, please.
You know, I don't like to be bullied and pushed into a corner by other people. I just back off. So if somebody's trying to push something down my throat and say, well, will you watch it by 10 o'clock? And what time can I phone you? I'll phone you at 11 or whatever it is. And then I just say, well, thanks very much. You know, I don't think this is for me. You know, although I might have expressed interest in the beginning, I don't like being pinned down. That's just my personality. So if somebody came to me and said, I'll manage to just squeeze you in here, will you watch the video by then? That's when I back off. So we might get that response.
Absolutely. Absolutely. and it's okay, I think, Meryl. And the surprising thing is that sometimes people will go back and review and look at what they hadn't looked at, and will come back. Remember, we are in a numbers game. But because you feel that way, though, doesn't mean to say that the next person will.
Yeah.
People are extremely busy in my world that I live in, and
But
too
yeah.
busy, in fact. And
My-
sometimes they, yeah, Rob?
Yeah, so for me, it's really about making an open question. Can I come back to you shortly? And just leave it like it. So it's open, something like this.
I'd prefer that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do I.
Yeah. So it's just about, for me, it's sometimes hard. You have to think, this is what my response must be.
I
I'm
think what
writing
the
that
bottom
down.
line is that you must keep open the possibility of communicating again. You know, you want to always end on a, may I get back to you 3 months' time, or whatever it is, just so that haven't shut the door. So what I would do, I'd say, look, I have just invited you to this group so that you can watch a couple of videos. I hope you get time to see them, and I will get back to you in a little while to see to check how you found them. And then the thing is that I must put that in my diary and say, give it a week or 3 days or whatever I feel comfortable. And then I must go back and say, hey, have you had a chance to those yet? And if they say, oh no, not yet, say no worries. I'll call again, or would there be a better time for me to get back to you? Give them the option of giving you a time. Rather than this, what I feel with this is the hard sell, and I would also back away. It's not, but of course, the people who have huge businesses probably do it like that.
Absolutely. So it's different strokes for different blokes, but I want to just also remind all of us here that how many contacts does it take before you get business in any kind of business? I think 3 is very, very small. It's somewhere around about 6 to 8 contacts before you will get business in a normal business world. So for me, every time I have the contact with the person, I'm almost counting how many contacts we've had. Because remember, the bottom line of what you're doing is you are building relationships. How are you? How is your mom? I heard she was in hospital. Are you okay? You know, by the time you're up to that second or third call, you have learned about a little bit about the family. You've learned a little bit about you're moving into the space of the care, what I call the caring, where you're learning to know the person and sharing a little bit about who you are at the same time. So that's where those wonderful words that we've also learned recently or been reminded of was, I know how you feel. So every encounter, you're going to be pulling in from a whole range of these script-like learnings that we are, as we build up our skills for building relationship with people. Because I believe personally that the bottom line, that's what it's all about. Been waxing lyrical again, Monica. All right, so the second example, we've got just under 5 minutes. So we will pick up on and review this again next week. But just if we look at the second one, which is now like a pro, assume you're already connected and discovered a need, which leads in exactly from what I've just been saying. So you then, yes,
I think for me, what is problematic with example 1. There's no relationship to start with. You dive straight in before I see you live in that town. I want to build a business. Are you interested? There's no relationship there at all. Whereas if you look at example, that person, you say, "Oh, I see you live in Witbank. How long have you lived there? Do you like it? Da da da." And then in a later conversation, you say, "I'm trying to expand my business in Witbank. Maybe you'd be interested." It's our step, in my opinion. The first example, when this next one has not left that out, it says you assume you're connected and discovered in you.
Yep. Okay, so I think that for if I can speak in general terms, I think, Andre, you've just summarized what the general feeling is then about that first one. However, remember, it's not necessarily spoken. And there would be something which has made you want to connect with that person, presuming you've seen a message of some sort, or you might have gone and looked for a group in Witbank and thought, well, I'm going to look for people who might be interested in who have health needs or have financial needs. So I think this first one is very, very much probably more focused on the financial, but who knows? You can't judge. You've got to let every person and situation unravel itself, and as you discover what the needs are. So if you go back to the 4-step connect, so the connection with the first one would be in that first message through the cold, and remembering that it's cold, okay? Discovering the need, and then the invite and the follow-up. So I think with that first one, we need to very much be clear in our heads as to what the context is. And Meryl, just as a aside there, in terms of taking a risk, it can be, quite honestly, if people aren't interested, we're not going to even have a glance at it. But sometimes it's a comfortable place to take a risk in that cold context.
Okay.
Might not feel right, but I very, very strongly believe that we don't step out of where we have, in terms of our personal values, we don't step out very wisely. We stick to where our values sit. And what just brings me back again to why I personally love Neolife so much is that my personal values, Monica, my values resonate absolutely with the values of the company. So if we keep that in mind as well, we can't go wrong, I don't think. We have less than a minute and we didn't do any role playing. Sorry, Murray. Murray, next week, you are going to do some role playing for us, please. Stop being so poppy, Monica. Sorry, Meryl.
Can I ask a quick question unrelated to the topic? Yeah. I've got somebody wanting Pro Vitality, and the one item in the sachet is the essential, it's just like a multivitamin thing. There's nothing like that in the catalog or online. What can I replace it with? Multi?
Multi. It is the multi.
Okay.
But Meryl, rather, another way of doing it is the Formula 4 Plus and Omega and carotenoid.